What happens if Ollie goes and you get another manager and then you have to go through the whole process again of resetting
so that's why, no, absolutely. That's always a risk with any hire. So I think if you're trying to make the right hire, you have to, again, go back to going, right, Ollie has now set down some foundations again. Does this manager tick the right boxes but elevate them? So are they going to play attacking football, which is what the fans demand? Are they going to play youth, but also have they got a track record of coaching players into better players? I think those are going to be the key things that have to come into play here. I still think there should be a director of football in place before any of this happens, because that decision being made by Ed Woodward terrifies me because he's a fucking banker. But if they've got someone, a director of football, who's been part of that hiring process, I would feel a lot better about it. At this point,
right, here's my prop, Mikey.
Be the director of football. Who knows if that's what happens? Maybe he would have to go upstairs and someone will come in.
That's what I was going to say. What happens if the way that they get rid of Ollie, or not get rid of Ollie, because I don't think he deserves that just yet, but the way that is that he goes upstairs, he becomes a director of football, he's shown it, he's got the right ethos, he's got the right kind of morals for that club. He goes upstairs and you bring in someone. Will that someone be answerable to Ollie?
Yeah.
So say for...
If he was a director of football, yes, you have to be, because being in charge of football matters. Yeah.
I think in terms of title and role, yes. But let's just say you get a big name and he's like, actually, I know more about coaching, or I know more about managing. Like, don't tell me what to do because I know more that...
Yeah, but Ollie's job isn't to talk to him about managing. Ollie's job is to transfer the football vision and then to go, and it's your job to turn that into that onto the field. But at the end of the day, Ollie's job now should be, Ollie's going to be there for 10 years. If it was him, I think that's a huge thing to ask anyone to do who's not got a track record in doing it. But he's been doing some of that because no one's doing it for him. Yeah. So if Ollie's now going to help have that huge impact of his team and Ollie's big part of it about who's directing the next 10 years, then yeah, because Ollie's going to be there longer than the coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. Ollie then should stay the fuck out of coaching a team. That's not your job. But you're going to hold the coach accountable to achieving the goals set out by the club on the long-term vision. But it's your job to go and turn that into what it is onto the field. I don't think, Ollie should stay the fuck out of that if he is this person. That's the whole point. But you need someone to head up the football, because at the moment, the football decisions are headed up by some committee that involves an inexperienced coach and a banker, and one or two others who we don't even know who the fuck they are. Who even are these people? And they're deciding how to take this behemoth of a club, the most famous club in the world, probably globally because of its success in the 90s and blowing up from the Premier League, this whole huge behemoth of a club being run by people that have no idea how to run something this side. So they need to have an expert.
Ed Woodward's probably been in the game long enough now.
Nah, he hasn't got a fucking clue, mate. He doesn't... Ed Woodward is a brand guy. Like, don't get me wrong, like, he's an incredibly talented person at his world, like, which is brand deals. There isn't somebody farts at Old Trafford and there's a brand deal signed for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. Like, there's not anything that's not branded at that club. Do you know what I mean? I've got some mad commercial deal. He's brilliant at it. They only announced one on the deadline day. Do you know the player you didn't sign? Oh, we didn't get it. But do you know what? The new underwear line's just, it's a great deal been done. You'll be well happy with it. Like, he's great at that side. But football, he's not a football person. There should be a football person, do you know what I mean, that understands that it's not just checks and balances like a finance person does. Like, you've got to be in charge of football affairs. And it's an old school. The manager does that. The clubs are too big now. You have someone who's who's in charge of the football team, but who's in charge of the football business?
Who's Liverpool's director of football?
I forget his name, but I'm pretty sure he's very good. You've got a director of football. Let's Google it. And we'll put that in the threads. I don't know his name, but you do. Yeah, you tell me you don't have someone who's in charge of football matters above Klopp.
No, we don't. We've got Michael Edwards who deals with transfers.
What's his background?
He did the same thing for Man City.
Okay, so he's a football person. Oh, he's got experience. Has he been successful? Has he been successful at it? Because the point I'm making about Ed Woodward is that his track record is horrendous. Horrendous. He's Name me a good signing he's made.
So Liverpool have a sporting director called Michael Edwards.
Yeah.
We
So
don't have.
maybe a director of
Yeah,
football.
we don't. Yeah, but the problem with director of football is that there's like 3 or 4 different titles, right? And there's different interpretations of it. Like Van der Sar's not the same, and there's quite a few that they like. You look at them and they've got different actual responsibilities because it is a grey area position. So the point is, Ollie might get that position, but he might still be very junior to Ed Woodward, or he could be on a par with him on this side. While we're talking, I'm using the example you mentioned of if Ollie got the job. I'm not endorsing Ollie for the director of football position because I think you should have
The thing with Edwards, just on a quick Google search, he's been there since 2011, so that allows you the longevity. And then he started as the head of performance and analysis, then became director of technical performance, and then technical director. So there's 3 titles there: head of performance analysis, director of technical performance, and technical director. And then we throw in something like a director of football. Is there a difference in a technical director and director of football? Probably a lot.
Yes, but maybe to do with like the infrastructure. Maybe it's one's more long term, one's more short to mid. There's maybe different. There's loads of different things that come into it. But the point is that I'm making about United is there's nobody doing it because we haven't gotten over the fact that Ferguson was kind of a all-in-one. He just did everything because he wouldn't relinquish control to anybody for anything. David Gill, when you listen to David Gill talk about Ferguson, he's like one of the greatest partnerships ever. But I didn't really have to do that much in anything to do with that because if Ferguson thought that's what should happen, invariably what happened. Or otherwise, nobody would ever hear the end of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, you come out of the shadow of this, and then you've asked David Moyes to step into this void. And then even Van Gaal, Mourinho, that none of them have ever had the type of control that Ferguson had at United.
Mourinho at Porto and Chelsea probably did, though, no?
Of the whole club, Ferguson ran the whole thing. He ran the whole thing, like everything. He knew everything about everyone in there. He was a freak personality. He's a control freak, the ultimate control freak. That was his whole thing. It was about. So I don't know if he did, not to the detail that Ferguson had on it. And Ferguson came in when United Ferguson was able to gain that control because he came into a booze culture of the 1980s United, and it was a mess. It'd been a mess since Matt Busby, and he was given the rights to take control of the whole thing. And he was there for all them years. Mourinho's not been at the club more than 3 years. Yeah. So how could he have possibly earned that kind of control? For Ferguson had been there nearly 30. Like, you get to the point where you're like, you are the club in some senses. And I think United haven't gotten over it because they didn't realise that to replace somebody like Alex Ferguson, you don't need a person, you need a team. You need a team to become the effect that Ferguson had. And they've never done it. They've just tried to, and they lost David Gill at the same time, which was mad. Why they retired at the same time is crazy, or at least moved on. But I mean, Gill realised, I'm going out at the same point. I'm going out on top with Fergie. Do you know what I mean? But Woodward came in, didn't know the job. Moyes came in, wasn't ready for that particular job. And it's just got bad from worse.
Just to throw in a little caveat here. So I just Googled who Chelsea's director of football is. And they don't have a director of football, but a woman called Marina Granovskaya. Yeah. And she's not a football person, but she comes in, her task of managing transfers sometimes put her at odds with the manager who had their own ideas. But then she got promoted as chief exec of Chelsea. Like, she's obviously not a football person. She was Roman Abramovich's PA in an oil company. Yeah. So
Chelsea are the ultimate example, aren't they? Chelsea are the ultimate example of just change your manager and fling the money at it and have a whole bunch of new players and then sack them all, get rid of them all, bring them all in. They are the revolving club model, and they made it work for them. But
they've won a trophy for the last decade every year.
But then that's the point. Like, Manchester United doesn't want to be what Chelsea is. We want to have like a continuity. That the club was built on the continuity of Sir Alex Ferguson. How would you replicate that? Because United have just tried them. We'll sign a marquee signing every summer. We'll change the manager every 2 years. Okay, turns out we're shit at that. You know what I mean? So that's a Chelsea thing. So yeah, I think the idea is to go back to something that represents what the club is. I know we've gone kind of around the houses there, but that's where I think Solskjaer's at. I feel it's to be confirmed. I feel like he's earned the right for another season. I feel he's doing. I think if they could put a team around him, including more than anything else, whatever it is, the equivalent of a director of football, someone who deals with a long-term vision for the football club, and we'll see if he's the guy. And if he isn't, okay, he's still laid down some good foundations there for someone to come in and take in, and then that next appointment has to continue what Ollie's laid down, not go in the other direction, because we've done that too many times, and there's too many managers, players there, because the managers are choosing the players 100% themselves, and we've left with a squad of mishmash of players. And finally, they look like there's a balance developing there of a set of players. That must continue. That's where I think that's at. Whether always the guy is to be seen. But I feel like he's dealt with a lot. I think if he walks now, in 2 or 3 years' time, United fans will really understand what he did for the team if they get the next manager right. That's where I think it's at.
I think you're right. I think Ollie probably deserves the time because they've tried everything else. So they've got a guy who's willing to stick around, who has the right kind of germs in him to be the guy that can I don't know if he can handle the media as well as he should, but the guy who probably could take him to a reasonable level, like you say, they've put together a run, but
they've still never won more than two league games on the trot, though. That's a fact. Since he's been there, they've never won more than 2 league games on the bounce.
I do feel I watched quite closely in the in sort of what's been going on over the last sort of few weeks, and I feel like Ollie could sustain a bit of a run. I'm just going off what I've seen on the pitch. I still don't see enough of an identity that I like in terms of this style of play. We still seem to be a little bit too dependent on that counter-attack, which is rapier-like, quick and dangerous. But what do you do when you've got, what's your plan B? We feel like we slip into that counter-attack too easily, which makes us great against the other. That's why he has the best top 6 record in the league. Like, over the last, while he's been at United, he's got like a 55% win rate against the top 6. I think Klopp's is 50%. Klopp's been there for more seasons though, but he's incredible at that. Mm-hmm. Same way at Liverpool, where it's where you first started to look lethal, but what he needs to do now is going, well, that's all good and well, but what you do against all the rest of the teams is a lot more of them. How do you beat them? And he needs to solve that problem. I feel like it's getting there. I think the answer is in playing players like Fernandes and Pogba together and not being so rigid to a formation. But I feel like he's, again, looked at and gone, I don't quite have the players I need yet, but he's signing good players. And, if you're putting the team around him, I think he could do something. But jury's out, well and truly. Like I said, Solskjaer either seems to go on a really good run or it's disastrous. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground. So
he does enough to keep his job for another couple of months. Like,
but again, I just
game, then he'll draw a couple, then he'll lose a couple, then he'll win one. Do you know what I mean? There's no like win. It's like win, draw, lose, win, draw.
Yeah, I don't think. Again, I don't think he's had the best set of players in terms of a cohesive players. He's got a whole bunch of mishmash players. There's some really good players in there. There's some shit players in there. There's some average players in there. They've been bought by coaches with very different fucking methods. And I think what he's trying to do is undo so he can build his own thing. I think now he's beyond getting away with that now, though. I think he's had the time to do that. What should happen now that he's got, how many has he signed? It's 4. He didn't sign anybody in his first season in that window, so he's signed 4 players. So he gets his next window and he gets another 2, say, and you've got 6 players now, and you've also moved quite a few on, and you've had that time coaching them. Okay, we now need to see the next stage, Ollie. Like, I get you've done your clear out and you've set things up, but you now need to show clear signs of progression. What that looks like to me, as well as the results, is a clear style of play, an identity to that, and again, you can't get away from it. It will be the results. But I feel you're looking for a consistency. You want to see now, forget these crazy ass runs, good or bad. What is the consistent level? What is the level we're actually at? And I think if that gets answered next season, that'll determine if he is the guy that's going to be there for the next few. Because the thing is, if Ollie gets it right, you potentially got a manager there that could be there for a long time, which is what the club really, really wants. But I just
They've been crying for that
I hope we don't want it so much that we're just prepared to have it for the sake of having it. That's my concern. That like, he doesn't get it because they're like, we're just so fed up of firing managers. We need someone, so we're gonna like, we should have to earn it. But that's what we're striving for, and I feel like it needs now another year to see, because I think Ollie's now got some of what he needs to make that happen. I really think he needs a director of football, but we'll see what happens with that one. But I think he's the guy. He's got the job, and it says to lose. I don't think people screaming for him to be out is a bit unfair, because I feel like he's dealt with a lot more than he should have done. For a young coach who's not coached at the top level, to have to deal with everything that's wrong at Man United, which is all kinds, is a big ask. So we'll see. But I'd like it. I think next year there will need to be a call on it. But I hope if they decide to go the other way, that Ollie walks. He's not waited to push, and maybe there's a role for him else at the club, because I think he will have given a hell of a service. People won't appreciate it now, but they'll appreciate it afterwards, because I think they'll see the difference. People have short memories, man. United has been a mess for 6 years. Always in there, and he's definitely got to try and get it back to where it should be. So that's why I respect the hell out of him. I respect the job that it's done, but he now has to improve. That phase has gone, and you now need to start showing that you're minimum going to get Champions League, so that the next year, I think next season, he has to get third. He has to be at least, he has to. If he's got Fernandes in there as well, like, that's a big signing. That's a top player he's got there. He has to get third, I think. If he gets third next season, not this season. This season, how do you predict this season? Who the fuck knows if we'll even finish? But ideally, he's Champions League.
Well, I mean, even like, so you're talking about season starting this year, the
next season, whenever the next season starts. Yeah, okay. I think, he has to get third. He has to at least get third. Underachieving, he gets Champions League, or overachieving, he ends up into a title race. And I think, but third is what your target is. The next season after, he has to win either the League or the Champions League in the next 3 seasons. Otherwise, he should hand it on to somebody else if he's not capable of doing that. So I think to do that, he has to.
See you later, Ollie.
I think
we're still won the league. Come on. So what's the excuse? Like, you've got 3 seasons to win one of the big trophies. So next season you have to finish third and show that outright you're better than everyone else, bar Liverpool and City. The next season, we now want to see a sustained challenge. You're probably not going to win it, but you need to either be in the title race you need to be still in it in May, or you need to get to the semi-finals of the Champions League. One of them. The season after, now you need to really fight, and you need to win one. And if you haven't shown that at least you've got near to those targets, okay, you've done what you need.
Thereabouts, he's done really well. I think in the next 3 or 4 years, if he gets to semi-final Champions League and finishes top 3, then I think that's
not enough.
But do you think Ollie's got the molecules to do?
Let's find out. I think he's earned the right to find out. I think next season will tell us, because if he ends up outside of the Champions League, then okay, Ollie, look.
Well, let's just see how long it took Klopp to really put his mark on a club.
Yeah, but you could see it happening though. You could see there were steps where it wasn't like it was a came from nowhere. There were stepping stones, but he also got to a Champions League final. Do you know what I mean? He didn't win it.
Klopp was his first full season. He was in the Europa League final. Second season, he was in the Champions League final, and then the season after, he won it.
Like, he was building up. I think Ollie has to do something that shows, like, he's earned the right to find out because he's there, and he's done a good job in terms of a lot of the other stuff now. But to keep it, now we need to see a sign that Ollie's that guy. So you telling me you can't go and get third with the flux of the top 6 right now? I get it.
I think over the next 3 years, but I don't think he can win the league or the Champions League in the next 3 years.
Well, if he achieves from where United are right now, which is technically in the Champions League places, we'll see what happens with City, but technically in the Champions League places, if he can't turn that into a team that can win a big trophy in 3 years, then he's obviously not the guy.
Who else in your history has won a Champions League?
So Alex Ferguson and Matt Busby.
And you expect Ollie Solskjaer to do that in 3 years?
The league or the Champions League, I said. I'm sorry, guys. It's Manchester United here. Come on. Like, this is a club that's supposed to be winning big trophies. That's the price of the ticket. That's why Mourinho went. So I get these all kinds of reasons why they've not been able to do it. But at the end of the day, they should have all lost the jobs. I'm not sat there feeling sorry for anything for losing the jobs. They didn't win. But I understand that there was a lot wrong that were contributing factors. But at the end of the day, if you're in charge of Manchester United, your job is to win the big trophies, or at least fight.
Mikey, I accept that. Say Man U signed Ancelotti. I'd be saying here, it might happen in the next 3 years. But they haven't signed Ancelotti, and they're in a phase of rebuilding. And I don't think in a rebuilding phase with an unproven manager, you can have a realistic expectation of that. If we were,
I feel like we're further down the road boat now. I get he's had time to sign his own players. Like, how long do you need to rebuild for?
I think he'll be rebuilding for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he'll get the chance. That's the thing. I think he'll get fired if that's the case.
You can't bring a manager in like Solskjaer and say, right, we need you to win a league in 4 years.
So I think
it's the price on the ticket, guys. It's Manchester United. It's not Newcastle here.
I agree with you, Mikey, but you're doing it with the wrong. You're doing it with the wrong guy. If the price of the tickets to win Champions League, that's why you guys went after Van Gaal. That's why you guys went after Mourinho. And now I think that it's changed a little bit. And you're like, actually, that's not working for us. We're not Chelsea. So now we have to go to a different model and say, okay, can we do what Liverpool have done? Gone from like a club that was 8th or whatever and bring them into top contention because we've got the money, we've got the brand, we've got everything, we've got all the ingredients. So they're now trying to build it. But if you had signed someone like an Ancelotti or someone like a Poch or whatever, then I think, okay, these guys are that way thinking.
Yeah.
With Arsenal, they signed the City guy. The guy they signed Arteta. They're obviously not going for trophies. They're going for rebuilding and giving a guy a chance.
Right. What had Pep and Zidane won before they won what they won at Barca and Real? The point is, they say you find out if Solskjaer is the guy. Like, so look, the price of the ticket is to win trophies, right? Oh, he's earned the right to see if he can do it. But you can't just keep him because he's a club legend. If he can't win it
year on year, but the improvement year on year doesn't.
Right, Ali, break that down. He's in the Champions League places right now. Might not be, depends what happens with City. But right now, he's on course to finish in the Champions League. So in 3 years, what does progression look like from there?
Okay, let's not put him in the Champions League this year. They probably are top 4.
Okay, so he misses out by 2 points. So year 1 gets back in.
Okay.
Year
gets
2
back in the Champions League, gets in 4th, right?
Yeah.
Year 2, he, I don't know, finishes 4th again.
That's not progression.
No, but he finishes 4th again, but wins the FA Cup, wins the Cup.
Okay, so year 3, fight for the title now.
From 4th.
Leicester won the league, guys. Come on, I'm not hearing it.
You've already said Leicester won the league because everybody else was shite. The top 4 at the moment are not shite.
Liverpool almost won it from 6th, wherever you were under Rodgers the year before, but then you came to slip, you'd have won it.
Klopp, who has managed Dortmund.
No, Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers. Where were you the season before you ended up missing out on it by a Gerrard slip? But
Suarez effect, like G said earlier. So
all right, so sign it.
Okay. I can do that. If you guys do sign,
United have money.
Yeah, they do.
More money than most people that can't spend money this year. There's an opportunity to buy players this year because everyone's struggling. United aren't. We have bank managers that have been nicely building up a nest egg for themselves. Spend the fucking money. Back him if you believe in him.
You've not got a shitload of debt though.
United have got all kinds of money to spend. The asset is incredible. Yeah, we have owners that are draining it for debt, but that asset is one of the most valuable assets in the world of sports. So the amount of commercial deals we have, that's what I'm saying. Ed Woodward is good at his Where his job should be. Brilliant at that. Which is why the Glazers keep him. He makes them lots of money. And he's that good at it that the club has also been able to retain very, very competitive in terms of finances. But they like the bonuses. They like to keep as much of that money as they can themselves. And when they have spent it, I'm not going to use the word, but you know what I mean. It's gone up the wall, shall we say, on players that, you know, it maybe shouldn't have gone on. So, okay, if Ollie's the guy and he's telling you he wants Jadon Sancho, go put the financial package together because we absolutely can. If not, if Sancho is determined these Champions League football and United do miss out on that, then okay, go and get the second one on his list. But make sure you get him. Go sign these players. And then, if he sat there with a forward line, if he's got players in his team like Fernandes, Pogba, Martial, Rashford, and a top right-sided player, you tell him you can't compete for big trophies with those kind of players. But if you're telling me, then you're not the guy.
Okay, so, yeah, I hear where you're coming from, Mikey, but I don't know if it's a lot of passion, though.
It's a lot of running before you're walking at the moment, I think. You can't expect United to challenge City and Liverpool for the league for a long time.
United were second like 2 seasons ago.
They should have.
2.5 seasons ago. 1.5 seasons ago. With a fucking defensive coach and a whole mishmash of players. Like, you tell me that couldn't have been a title run with a better coach or a better set of players.
How many points behind first for you, though?
Well, that's the point I'm saying. Is like because we finished ahead of Liverpool, and we had some shit players and a defensive coach, and it fell apart the season after. But the point is, it's not that hard to make some kind of sustained run, but you need to have a united front of people facing the same direction. And United have the players, they have the finance. The question is, and if they have the right coach.
That's where it falls down for me.
Yes, so that's the point there. So you're saying Ollie isn't the guy then, which is fair enough.
No. I think Ollie's the guy right now for the Man U that exists right now.
Yeah.
If you want a quick fix, get a big coach in, give him a shit ton of money, buy players that are ripe, that are playing the best football, and win everything. But the point is that you probably don't want to do that. You want to have.
I'm not saying right now. I said 3 years. Like how?
I understand, but I think 3 years.
You can't build in 3 years.
I think 3 years is quite short for someone developing a philosophy and installing in a club. And it's not Pep who comes in with 25 backroom staff that are just all saying that we're jumping this way and everyone has to jump. It's Ollie with no experience. He hasn't done this before.
You've already said their backroom staff is. Was it 3 out of 4 have got no experience, or 2 out of 3?
This is what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that aren't right in there that need to be fixed. Like absolutely.
So
I agree. Like you need a director of football, and they probably need like to improve the coaching staff.
But I think it might be
still accountable to what the club should be achieving.
Mike, I think in 3 years you get a great director of football, you get a great backroom staff. And you show signs of improvement where you're competing with Liverpool and City, but they win more games overall. But you're in there. You're the guy that they're looking over the shoulder and be like, actually, man, you're looking. In 3 years, if you get to that phase, I think you've done a great job. And I think in 5 years, you guys could be rocking and rolling. But I don't think you can win a league in 3 years. Maybe a Champions League. If you have that kind of where you kind of focus on the Champions League and you don't really focus on league or whatever. But I think to be in the Champions League and be in the league and be titling for one of the,
Ali, I feel we're slightly disconnecting here. I'm not saying Ollie has to win a league or the European Cup. That has to be the target.
Okay.
And however, he has to look like we had a chance of winning it. Like Ferguson didn't win the league every year. He shouldn't then get fired for the year he didn't. Like Ancelotti did. Ancelotti came second and won an FA Cup and got fired for it. It's a fucking disgraceful decision, in my opinion, because he competed for it. So you have to at least be in the fight. If you tell me United can't be competing to get to the latter stages of one of these big tournaments, such as semi-finals or final of the Champions League, or in the fight for the Premier League come May, you have to win it, but you have to look like you could have done.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's fair.
So that's the target. That's what I'm saying. if he comes out and he's fought for it 2 years and missed out, you'd be like, that's a big step forward. But if we're nowhere near competing in 3 years, I don't know what the fuck we're being asked to buy into. Because it's 3 years. You're telling me you can't achieve a lot in 3 years. So
okay, now I agree with you that the expectation realistically can be that. I don't know if he'll do it, but I think you can expect it as someone who
when you're setting someone a target for the next 3 years, the target has to be that's what you're shooting at. You've got to win one of these big trophies in the next 3 years. You might not do it, but that's what you're being held accountable to. Now, if you just miss out, then I don't think you're not able to turn around and go, we're going to fire you for that because Jesus, look where it's come from. But if you're still not much further on, you're going to have to be like, Ollie, look, mate, it's not for you, is it? Like, it's not for you. Like, otherwise, what? There's no accountability here. Nice one, Ollie. Well done for like keeping us fucking where we were and treading water. You've done well. You're a nice guy. Nah, it's Manchester United. You can't do it. We're not a small club. Like, we have to be held accountable to big, big targets. Doesn't mean you'll necessarily hit them. You can't win the league every single year. Liverpool won't win it every year. City, everyone thought City would a couple of years ago. You don't win it every year, but you should be in the fight. You should be in the fight. You should be in there when it counts. And if it's a competitive league, you're not going to win, but you have to always be going forward and moving forward and moving forward. And moving forward for United from where they are now means in 3 years, they should be in a title fight. It doesn't mean they'll win.
Okay.
You don't go into a fight with the plan to lose.
Yeah, not fair. Okay, that's fair.
So that's why I understand where you're coming from, and maybe we've slightly disconnected on what we're saying there. That's where I'm at. Like, that has to be the expectancy. Otherwise, then you aren't the guy. You aren't the guy, and we need the guy who's going to then win it. And maybe you can be the person that sets the foundations for that guy to come in. And that's why I come back to my first point. Oh, it could be that guy. It could be that guy that lays some foundations, and then it goes on to somebody who is capable of competing for titles. We don't know if Ollie's that guy, but that is the job description.
Fair play. That's fair. No, I agree with you there. That's
all right.